this question is, it has a lot of parts to it. It's asking us to evaluate each of the following logarithms without using a calculator. It's good to use a calculator to check, which we will do after we figure them out. But I want to write down the rules we're really going to use here. Right, so logarithms are based on exponents, and the main few rules we have here is log base b. B can be anything. Any valid base of 1 is always 0. So no matter what the base is, if 1's inside, then you get 0. If the base and the inside match, then you get 1. And the main rule we're going to be using here is if you have log base b of b to the x power, then you get x. What this means is when you're given something where the bases and the inside don't match, you want to write the inside as an exponent of the base, which we'll see in these problems. But now we'll just go through in order and answer these. Some of them take a lot more effort than the others. Some of them we can just reference the rules, but others we have to do some work out. So log base 1/5 of 125. The first thing I see here, the 1/5, this isn't a fraction. So what I want to do is first kind of think about this. Well, if this was 5, right? This is 1/5, but it's kind of similar to 5. We first want to write 125 as a power of 5. And you'll see why we do this in the first step. And 125 is 5 to the 3rd power. And you can check that with your calculator if you like. 5 raised to the 3rd power is 125. Now the reason we do this is now the base and the inside are flipped. And remember the exponent rule. If you flip something, then you make the exponent negative. So we flip 5 to 1/5. We have to make the exponent negative. All right, so we got log base 1/5. 5 becomes 1/5. And the exponent 3 becomes -3. And now this is the 3rd rule. The base and the base of the exponent inside are both 1/5. They match. So this equals the exponent, which is -3. So log base 1/5 of 125 is -3. If you figure that out on your calculator, I'll do the change the base way. We do the natural log of 125 divided by the natural log of 1/5. We do get -3, so we're good to go. All right, what this is saying is 1/5 raised to the -3 power would be 125. Really, if you can do this one, you should be able to do all of them, because I think this one's the hardest, but we'll see. All right, so the second one, log base 10 of 1, that's just actually the first rule there. The first rule says no matter what the base is, if the inside is 1, then we get 0. So we'll just draw an arrow. That's just the first rule. You can figure that out. Remember, log base 10 is just log, so log of 1 to check is 0. The third one, log base 1/7 of 1/7. Well, the base and the inside exactly match, so that's actually just the second rule. If the base of the log and the inside match, then we get 1. And once again, you can check that. We would do the natural log of what's inside divided by the natural log of the base, and that is 1. Number 4 isn't a direct application, so we'll make sure you write it down. We got log base 6 of 1/6. We want to write 1/6 as a power of 6. And really what we want to do is we want to flip that fraction, right? If we flip 1/6 to 6, then it will work. So we flip the fraction, we got to make the exponent negative. That's a very common theme with these. And the exponent, while we don't usually write when the exponent's 1, it's really 1. So this is 6 to the negative 1 power. And log base 6 of 6 to the negative 1 power, the base and the inside base match. So we get negative 1, the third rule. Number 5 is also not a direct application. I don't think the rest are. Number 5, we have log base 5 of 25. And luckily for us, there's no fractions here, so we don't have to worry about fractions. What we need to do is write 25 as a power of 5. Because we want to write as a power of the base. And 25 is 5 to the second power. And now that same rule we used for the other ones we worked out by hand. The base and the inside base match, so the answer is the exponent, which is 2. I realized I didn't check the last one. So you can check that in your calculator. You can also check this one in your calculator. I'll just do it for the sake of doing it. We got the natural log of the inside divided by the natural log, oops, not 4, the natural log of the base, and that is 2. The next one, also not perfect for us. We got to do log base 64 of 8. And we got to do the same idea as number 5. We want to write 8 as a power of 64. Now, it's very easy to get this one backwards, because we might say, well, 64 is 8 squared, which is true. But what that's saying is 8 is 64 to the 1/2 power, right? Or the square root of 64. But you're going to want to keep it as an exponent like that, right? So we can just double check that. 64 raised to the, oops, that's not the exponent. What did I do? Uh-oh, lost track of where it is. Okay, 64 raised to the, right, this is where if you don't have a calculator like this, you definitely want to put in parentheses the exponent. 64 to the 1/2 power is 8. And by the same rule, log base 64 is 64 to the 1/2 power is 1/2. Now the last one isn't so much a rule in this section, it's just something we learned before. You can't plug in negative numbers into logs, so this is D and E. It doesn't matter what it is, cannot be negative or 0 inside. And you can even check that on your calculator. We do the natural log of the top, -1, what's inside, divided by the natural log of the base, 1/10. And there's an error. We cannot evaluate that. But that is a lot of good practice dealing with logs without a calculator. It gives you some sort of understanding as to what they are. But it's always good to practice log rules.